Hello, hello. This is ChatLoopBackOff, 18 episode 18 with a very good project that I have been learning for a few days, shamefully a few days. It's called Porter. So my name is Amim Knabben. I have been invited to the show to present this project. So in the background we have George Castro in all the machinery commanding this live. This is pretty cool. So I work at Broadcom. A little bit about myself here. I work at Broadcom as a standalone Kubernetes, Tanzu Kubernetes Grid tech lead, and I have been working with Kubernetes for like 4 years, 3 years in the project as a member of the project, and as a CNSF ambassador, I'm here for like a year or so. If you have questions, if you have anything like this is a chance for you to learn with me at this project. So just dump in the chat here. Feel free to ask anything. I will try to stop and interact as much as I can because things are new for me as well. We have like a list here. If I can have my screen share, George. We have a list of all the things that we are going to pass in this 1 hour. Let's try to keep in 1 hour. But basically, uh, there is a playlist. There is a playlist where this episode will be published after the recordings. All the recordings are there. You can see like the other old episodes as well. Uh, we will post the link. We have a GitHub CLBO with all these readmes and the notes that we're taking during this episode. And let's start with the news. We have like this schedule of things that we are trying to go step by step, but let's start with the news. So for the fun of it, Porter 1.11.0 was released today. And that's what we are going to test. We are going to beta test this piece of software in this version, this particular version. So that's pretty cool. I have here the link 1.1.0. Let me share here. Oh, hold on. So I don't think the binary is being built. Oh, the binary is being built. So you can download the binary, or you can get. We have another procedure to do that, so you can get with the shell script as well of installation. We are going to through that later. So the second new that I have here. Oh my God! Come on, is a Kubernetes podcast from Google that's leading Kubernetes into its second decade. This is an interview with Nikita and Nabarun and Pakoshu about the leadership of Kubernetes and like all the work that has been doing to move forward the project in the next 10 years, right? So we hit this milestone of 10 years. That was a big achievement. And now what comes next? That's the question. So listen to the podcast. It's a pretty good one. A lot of good information. Go there. Second, second link that I have for the news is the call for papers for the co-located events on KubeCon, New York, NA, North America, on Salt Lake City. This year will be, and all the proposals for the co-locate events are still open. So they're going to be open until July 14th. That's when they close. And if you go here, you can see in their page all the events that are going to happen today. So you pick one here, and you can still submit the call for papers until July 14th. So keep aware of this. The other call for paper, the other event here on South America is the Cube Day Colombia. So Cube Day Colombia is another big event on Colombia that's happening, and it's our chance to submit and participate as well on this event here at South America. Cool. We will share these links later. in the notes, and let's go to Porter. So if you have questions, just come here and let's have a conversation. This is like a dynamic conversation, right? So what I have the question here, what I'm going to present is like what I have learned in this last uh, 3 days or 4 days in this project, and this is super fun. I didn't know the project before. I have heard these cloud native application bundles, and that's where everything starts. So if you go in this cnab.io, you can see like the cloud application bundle here. That's a project that's the specification of this project is uh, is old, but it's been there for a while. So it's very enriched. There is a lot of details on how to implement and how to package your distribution application and distribute your application. So you have one application with a lot of different steps that are not easily replicated. You have custom steps for each one of these applications, like running Terraform or running some prime infrastructure in Amazon. Whatever you want to do before installing your application, this specification defines a good way to set this information and distribute this. So the CNAB is only the specification of that. So you can bundle, you can install, you can manage these container native apps. And the pretty cool part that we're going to see next is that these bundles can be stored on an OCI registry as your containers. And this is like a big change. I remember like in 2018 or 2019 when they start to bundle these blobs inside the OCI. And I was like, okay, if you have some kind of tools that can push and pull and parse whatever is inside the bundle, like the blob, is a pretty good way to store this kind of data or your application for free, like double quotes, inside your OCI register. At least you can have the same libraries and reuse between different places, right? So it's cloud agnostic. The idea here is to deliver apps. For sure, if it was created by the days folks that started all this stuff. I remember CGApps, like they invested a lot in the CGApps, and the Synab here can be accessed in the GitHub Synab.io, and you have like the specification here, where it defines like how to bundle your application, right? So you have I'm not read the entire specification, but it's a good way to learn how this tool today works, because the tool today is an implementation of this specification and give you some CLI that allows you to run and bundle your application in your local machine or somewhere in the cloud, right? So if you want to understand, start with the specification and read calmly, because there are a lot of details inside of that. Saying that, you have the specification. Now the first implementation was Duffel, not Duffy. It was Duffel, and I hope that that's how you spell that. But that's the implementation on top of that specification. And now you could now the project is deprecated, but still the implementation is here. So you could install and manage these distributed applications, right? So in the repository is archived since 2022. But if you go in the search in the README here, you can see like, okay, Duffel build some kind of bundle, Duffel unit, and you have like these examples on how to interact with the definition of this specification, right? That's the implementation. So I have Duffel bundle list the bundles that exist in your system. You can install a bundle, you can uninstall a bundle, and the project's done. But okay, now I want uh, load the page. Okay, George, let me know if I am still online, because I'm receiving some error in the chat here. But I will continue. Cool. So all good. So Duffel is the deprecated specification, right? Well, I still want to use that. What can I go next? The answer is Porter. So Porter is the latest implementation of this specification. And Porter was a project that was accepted on CNSF at September 8 in 2020, and it's sandbox. So the project's there for quite a while, and there is a lot of good features going on in this project that we're going that are try to look. So the documentation's here. We will take a look in the documentation while going through to hands-on in the examples that exist in the documentation, right? First thing we're going to do is to install. So the version 110 was released today. We are going to install this version and test to see if everything's okay. Then we are going to do a get start, like the README that we saw. We go step by step and see how to install an example program inside my local machine. We go to the bundles. We are trying to create our own bundle. I'm going to explain what's a bundle next, but we can create like our own packages of applications that we are creating, right? So we go in building the bundles one by one, and then we will examine the bundles and distribute that. So it's possible to get the bundle that you created and distribute and share this with your coworkers, because this is hosted on a OCI registry, right? Latest, there is another concept that we're going to see called mixins. Mixins are ways to automate the way you create and run these steps that are inside your bundle. And later here, we are going to take a look in the source code of the mixin times hours, right? So there is some interesting parts of the mixing. I stop on that, so we can if there is time and people help, like we can take a look on how to build and execute that, right? Okay. If you have any questions, like I have one space here for questions. If we don't know the question, I'll take notes of the question, and then we move and send to the responsible people that knows what that has more context of the project, right? Okay, so Porter, your application and everything you need to deploy together. That's awesome. So you package your application. It has client tools. It has configuration and some deployment logic. The documentation is here. I think the link was already shared. So if you go into documentation, we can start with the docs. Okay, so the docs has all these steps. I'm going to summarize and execute these steps for everyone to take a look and follow in this process, right? All right. So if you starting like the concepts and the components here, we can do maybe a Scala draw, like get some image here, right? Let's try to. Okay. So we have a bunch of components on this project. First one, it's a bundle. So you have an application here. Let's say you have your app. And our app is like, I don't know, Django or a Ruby on Rails application that you build, and you have the source code there. So your application needs some steps to be deployed. You need like to create a Postgres database or a MySQL database, or you need like to create some kind of secrets to bootstrap this application, have environment variables, configuration, things that are required for your application to exist or run. The problem is when you start to share this application with your coworkers, you end up always with a huge README with a lot of different steps that are probably broken and deprecated. And this is a problem because people will get lost easily. So this kind of project like Porter and this kind of the concept behind this can help a lot of people and teams to onboard easily when you have a complex project that needs to be replicated in different machines, because you have fast access to all these parts and you have a standardized way to define these things. So if you go in your bundle, that's what we call bundle, right? Bundle. So if you go in our bundle, you can have things like configurations that you put inside your application or inside your Terraform. You have what you call parameters. You have credentials, things that are needed and are secret for your application to run. So credentials. Some other stuff that you need in your bundle is the concepts of mixins. So mixins, from what I understood here, is a way when you see the code will get clear, the examples will get clear. But mixing is a way for you to customize and facilitate the way you run the steps required. So you could have a mixing to start a Postgres. You could have a mixing to run Terraform. You could have a mixing to run AWS CLI commands. Whatever you have, like the YAML is a bunch of steps inside this action, and you can create a mixing to summarize and simplify the way you execute a command. So you can have plugins as well. It's like another kind of integration inside the cloud or inside some output that you want to save. You have outputs. So these steps, think like local ECI, right? When you have like these steps that are chained somehow, and you can send outputs for the other step and can receive parameters for this step. That's how this thing is modeled. So your bundle here, it's built. You build this in an OCI using the CNAB specification. So the CNAB will save all these parameters here, credentials, in a format. The Porter will save this in a format that any CNAB compatible CLI will understand and process. So when you bundle this, it saves inside an image, and this image here is saved on an OCI registry. So you can publish your image here on an OCI registry, right? Publish. Cool. So when you publish there, you can have this somehow in the cloud, right? In your registry. Now it's time for you to get this from the internet and save on your computer. So for this, we have what we call installations. So the user here can download that on a machine, download this bundle from the OCI registry, and do the installation on the machine, right? So you have multiple installations based on this version. You have like different versions of this bundle that's saved on the registry, and with the CLI you can upgrade and save this information, this bundle on your machine and install that. So you end up executing these steps that are predefined inside your machine. Okay, so good so far. So let's see an example of how this runs in real life, right? So I think at this point everything is like quite clear. So the first thing you need to do, let's open a new. So the first thing you need to do is to use Porter. Get Porter. You need to do get Porter download the Porter binary on your machine. If you come here, we can see like a curl, and this curl will get the bash, and we'll pipe to the bash. It's not a good idea to download things from the internet, just pipe to the bash. So instead of this, let's do a curl and understand what this is downloading. Okay, so from the source code here, we have like the Porter version. We have a Porter mirror, the defaulting to the CDN for Porter. We define one version, so that's pretty cool because the version 1.1.10 was just released today, and I'm excited to test that. But since we are not passing any Porter version, this will be the default value. I wanted to show this, but I think I want to show like setting the variable and download one particular version. I think it was the canary that was downloading before. That's like on top of master, but now we have the new version, the new release. Then when we run this, it will install this Porter version here. Okay, that's downloading. And the other thing we need to do is to save this export. Because if you go to the Porter folder on your home, it will have like a cache, mixins folder, and some binaries here. So the binary is the actual CLI that helps you to interact with the system. So we have Porter here. I need to just get the path in my path, like the Porter path, because it's inside the binary is inside here. So when I run Porter version, I have 1.1.0. That's cool, right? First phase passed. So now when you run Porter, let's see what commands we have here. So we have a few commands existing on Porter by default. So we have bundles, we have credentials to manage the credentials that exist on your machine. We have installations, that's like each bundle version being installed on your system, mixins, parameters, plugins, storage, yada yada. But the interesting part here is the aliases command. So this command here is used to manage the bundle and manage the installations, right? So you can create, build, and install. That's some actions that we can do based on the specification. So what we can do like is to get this first example here. Okay. Oh, this $sign here in the documentation is not a good idea to copy and paste things. So we have Porter install, and we are saying, okay, Porter install. Let's see the Porter install documentation. Let's see how. Okay, so we have like Porter install. We can pass a reference. That's like the path of your bundle. You have like insecurity registry. You can pass like force. But the second first argument is the name of the installation to create. So what you can do is like to pass this command here and say install the Porter hello, referencing to this bundle that's somewhere in the internet, right? So we go install that, and Porter has this concept of runtime and build time. So when you are building your bundle, and this is like working with build, you have the build time. When the commands related to the build is the build time, and the runtime is what the execution you have here. So when you run install Porter hello, you have resolving the credentials. It resolves the parameters that you are passing. We did not pass anything, so it passes throughout, and it executes the install action. So you have actions for this bundle, and the install action is a setting here. So the cool part is that install hello runs. That's probably one step, and there is an output here on the stdout. That's hello Porter, right? Maybe you can pass a parameter, and this can come out to the bundle and output that installation. Then you can have Porter show that it's list, And then you have here Porter example, Porter hello with version 020 and says install it. Succeed 1 minute ago. Cool. We installed our first version and the output's there. So we can list and see, okay, what are the installations I have? So if I do Porter show Porter hello, it will show the latest installation I have, right? So I have the installation of the bundle called Porter hello. It was created 1 minute ago. That's the repository. That's the bundle. Pretty cool. I have this here. I can upgrade the installation. I'm not doing this right now, but this is another action. We are going to see in the manifests the action that it has, and I can uninstall. So let's uninstall Porter hello. Cool. This is the basic flow. That's what we need to install something on your machine, like your application that your coworker just developed. So that's pretty simple. That's pretty straightforward. Well, before we jump in the other in like getting the bundle details and like extraction of the bundles, I want to show something pretty interesting that I found out. Not related with these things, more like how the project is designed. But I thought this was fun to show. So when I run Docker PS, and I list everything that's on my machine, like I was seeing the Docker that were running there, and I found out a MongoDB was running in the background. And I was like, what is a MongoDB? Why this is running, right? So I went in this MongoDB instance, Mongo, and then I asked to see the DBs that has. So Porter created some kind of MongoDB here. So start to take a look around, and I just figured out they use MongoDB to save all the information and persist the information locally. And that, let's see the collections. So that's how they configure and persist this information. And that was pretty crazy because I was like, okay, where this is persisting that information, delete the cache folder and where this is coming from. But this is cool, just for you to know. And we can see like in the configuration there is some steps in the configuration that we can change the way we store this information locally, right? You have like this storage database that are changeable. I don't know what can be changed to, but I know there is an option where you can change this kind of things. Right. So the bundle life cycle, right? Let's go jump in the bundle. George, I cannot see the questions. If you have some questions, like just send me. I try to answer here or put in the screen. I don't know because the chat just disappeared. So, what's a bundle? The bundle inside this is a concept. So we saw like the bundle there, the installation is there. We have a tag. There is a OCI based on Synapse that's pushing, and you can download this from somewhere. And the first thing you can do to understand the bundle, to start exploring this bundle, and that's where we are going to, it's to do an explain. So this is somewhere outside this machine, and this is downloading this bundle. And when you run like explain, you can have some descriptions of things that exist in the bundle. The bundle is like, how do I say, bunch of options inside the YAML, as we're going to see. But when you do an explain, it shows you all the important pieces, right? So you have like credentials, you have parameters, you have outputs, and this explains only a good way to visualize this information, visualize how these things are running. Okay, so now we have the bundle here, right? I want to take a look in the source code, or I want to open the bundle. How can I do that? I didn't find a quick way to do in the documentation, but I can create a bundle. We can go in creating a bundle, and then from this bundle, we take a look in the source code. I think that's the easier way. There is another way that we are going to jump later, but the faster way to do this is going through this process of creating a new bundle, right? Let's create a folder here. Let's call my bundle. Inside my bundle, we can create Porter, bundle, create, and this will create for you some templates here. So let's go and create your own bundle here. So bundle create, we'll create like the helpers, we'll create some Porter YAML and some README, right? So inside the helpers, there's only a shell script that parses the parameters that receives and call the function. That's fine. That's very simple. Porter here, that's where the schema and the Synapse implementation exist. That's where things get interesting. So the schema type, you define a schema version. There is a documentation. If you go back in the page here, there is a documentation for all in the references. I think reference is the best way to look at that. So the references has all the documentation that you need to run and see all this spec. Like in Kubernetes, we could do like kubectl explain and get some documentation. But I think here there is no other place besides that. Build manifest, bundle manifest. So you can see like the schema version here. You have the documentation for 1101. We come here. That is an example in the documentation. And an explanation of the fields. So if you are in doubt, don't know what each field means, so you just come here and take a look. Okay, the name is that, the version is that, description, and now all the parts are here, right? So the next section we have is a list of mixins. The most common one is the exec. So exec is calling the executable. So you send a command to the exec will run that, and you have the output. You can pass like arguments. If you take a look in the shell script, that's pretty clear, right? So you have like an argument for the helper and the argument install. If you take a look in that, you have like install, upgrade, and uninstall. And those are different operations. And you can have like different steps. You can have like, I don't know, install here, we can say maybe echo. I'm not being creative today, but testing the installation, right? And then you have like all these steps going on. So first install hello world. And then you're going to define your application. So you download something from the internet, you have different mix scenes that you go chaining and defining here. Another section are the credentials. We are going to see this later, but you can have like a kube config, for example, or some kind of secrets integrated with some external plugins like Azure, AKS, where you save the secret in their vault, and the project will connect there and download the secret. So it's pretty cool. There is some kind of integrations around where you can like download from the internet. You can pass parameters. The parameters are defined on this specification and then are consumed here. We can see some other more complex examples later. But you define the parameters here, and you can set like states for Terraform mixing. Okay. Not sure like if this is only for the mixing on Terraform, or you can use that for anything else. But you can come in the documentation and take a look in state. That's new stuff for me. Stateless. I want to be stateless for now. Stateless variable that generates by the bundle and inject. Okay. Yeah, maybe this is can be used for other uh, in other parts, but seems to be used only for that format beginning. Cool. Um, right now I have my bundle. Let's go in the folder my bundle, and what we can do with the bundle. So we created the bundle. We can do some cool stuff with the bundle, right? Like build this thing, verify the bundle, build the bundle. So to build the bundle, you use porter build. You need to you put that on your Zash or Bash RC or profile, and you have like this path exporter. I'm just presenting here, so I'm hard coding that. So you do porter build, you build the entire container. You can see like there is a CNAB app porter. We are going to open this container later, uh, but for now, let's just keep like that. So we can come here in the porter and go in the registry. Let's put this on an external registry, right? I want people to download this bundle and reuse that. So you can say that's my registry. And when I do a porter build, you can see this is tagged with another way. Cool. Now, if I go in Docker images here, I have the image created. So the image is inside my machine, right? It's a Docker image. Now we can publish, we can install that. Cool, let's install, porter install, and run locally. Install hello world. Hello world. Did I save that? I want to force through the installation again. Let's see. I want to see like two states. Oh, okay, cool. Um, Probably I had not saved this before. So you have like the first execution, first installation, and you have like testing the installation. You have the execution of the next one later. Cool. Now I want to publish that, and I can do porter publish. For some reason, I need to roll it back. Let's save again. Let's build again. And I want to publish in this registry. Cool. So this is going to push in the registry. If we do, if you take a look in what exists in the register, like the application, we can see like different tags that I have been testing, I have been pushing there. So we have like v0, 20, v3, 0, and now we have v0, v10. That's the one that I pushed. We see like that is another tag. That's probably some stuff related with Synab, I guess. And the output can say, okay, bundle push it successful. So if you want to test that on your local machine right now, you can have porter install reference and download that from porter hello and download this tag from the repository, the OCI. That's the public OCI. So you can see like we installed the new version, the 030 that was published before. We can like install a 10. It says, okay, this is already installed, but we can uninstall and install again, right? As you can see, like the uninstall just run the steps for an installation. That's pretty cool. One more you can do with like that's a basic example, right? So one interesting part of this, and I think that's a powerful feature, is to run this project in this bundle on air gap environment. So when you say air gap environment, you are saying like customers without access to the internet. For some reason, the customer is running or your team is running in an environment that has no internet or has no way to access and download this from the OCI registry. So there is a few commands here where you can dump instead of an OCI image and publish this on the OCI. You can download that as a tar.gz and have this tar.gz shared with folks instead of the OCI directly. So Porter has a command called archive. I'm gonna call this Porter hello tar.gz or tgz, and I will pass the reference my repository that I just bundled. 01 reference. It take a while to compress everything on the file. And if you look here, we have like this Porter hello, Porter hello, to temp. Then we uncompress this Porter hello here, and you have like the blobs of the container, right? So if you go in the artifacts folder, layouts blob, we can do like find Zach RGZ. So what I'm doing is like if you get one of these bundles, it's a tar.gz file, right? So the tar.gz exists, and the manifest just enumerates everything that's a container in the OCI. So the tar.gz is the layer that has this information compressed. If you untar and unzip this layer, you have like the file system that runs in your container, right? So as you can see, there is one folder called synab, and at this point we are decompressing the container, loading the container, and seeing the contents. So what this generated for us and what Porter generated for us and give us to install in the template in the client is like you have an app, you have mixins inside of it, so all the binaries that you need to run are inside this container. You have like the source code that we saw that we created. So if you come here in Porter, app Porter, Porter YAML, you can see like what we created there, right? So you can see the exec, the multiple execs, everything that we use it to create this bundle. You have a Docker file that's being used to create the bundle as well. But the important thing to understand is like this is a container that's being shared, and then Porter follows this Synapse specification to manage this app lifecycle on different machines in a standardized way. And that's a powerful concept and tool that allows this kind of evolution of teams while developing. So we published it, we have the Docker, we did a lot of stuff. Let's take a look in a few more examples before going in the try to create a mixing maybe. So if we not get lost in this mixing source code, we can see the example and try to understand what's going on. So let's take a look in other more complex examples of mixing, right? If you download, if you go in GitHub, get Porter examples, you can see a few pre-existing examples here. Like there is a bunch of them, to be honest. So we can try a few of them and see what. Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just posted in the devs have this demo Nginx unit that they wanted to share with you. I just tossed it there on the URL. Might be something interesting for you to look at.
Can you do in the private chat?
Oh, yeah, I got you.
I'm not seeing the comments here.
There we go.
Okay, cool.
Good luck.
Thanks. So cool. Let's go with the easiest one first. I don't know what's inside of this. So I don't know the bomb George just dropped. So let's go in the easiest one first. So if you go in the Docker folder here, you can see like Porter. That's a simple stuff as well. So you have Docker whale say there is some stuff going on, but the idea is that you can run commands with Docker. You can run images and pass arguments and run a Docker inside the mixing. What we can do is like let's run this whale say. So that's the plugin I was trying to test, and then I uninstalled it. So I was trying to test the plugin. This extension doesn't exist, so let's try again. Just remove it. Okay. The first error that we have using the mixing, the Docker mixing, is like we need Docker access to the host, so you need to explicitly pass this tag here to use the Docker. So it runs with the Docker that you have on your local machine, right? So if you enable that and allow the customer to the user, the developer to run that, we can run the Docker. One thing that's pretty interesting here. So this whale say call whale is an example. It's a very old example for like 9 years ago, and this is running with Docker registry 1. So Docker registry 1 is deprecated, and the image was not updated anymore, and Docker Hub doesn't allow you to run these things anymore, and the example doesn't work. But the idea is that this mixing allows you to do this exec with some kind of parameters and easily define it, instead of like doing exec. You have like this surface of namespace and fields that allows you to pass with the same format that you could using the CLI that you are running. So mixing is a powerful concept and abstraction here. The other example that I think is running is the Docker app. So now we evolve this for Docker Compose, and this image here will build up Docker Compose inside of it. I don't have Docker Compose on this machine, but the container exists with this component inside of it. And that's where things get interesting, because you start to bundle some binaries inside the container. So you just use the Docker mixing here, and how you call the Docker Compose mixing, and how you call that in the installation is called up, Docker Compose up, and you pass the -d argument. There I think is the demo set, if I don't remember correctly. The same for the uninstall. You can do the remove and the upgrade with these changes. Porter install, you can need that as well. So in the Docker app, a new Docker image you run on my machine, you see that's the output from Docker Compose. And if I go in the Docker PS, I have another HashiCorp HTTP echo. There is another HTTP echo Docker running on my machine. So if I do a curl, the localhost 8080, I can access this binary that's running on a machine, like this image that's running on a machine. If I take a look in the Docker Compose, is only bringing up the image. Nice. What about Kubernetes? So how this fits on Kubernetes? We have an example on Kubernetes. I hope George's example is related to Kubernetes as well. But let's see, who is this guy? It's probably one of the committers of the project. I don't know. Brian, the Gitter. Okay. So this guy has a demo Nginx unit. So this is an example of how to running this application on Kind. So install Porter. We have Porter. Hey, Brian. Nice. If you have like some ideas to do, I will follow the instructions, but if you have some ideas to do, just bring on the chat and we do some other stuff. So we have the installation here. Cool. We go to the local test me. I think I need to have this DNS. I'm not sure, but we go in the thing that was just created. We see the code to see what's going on, and we get the local kind for the cluster. Okay. we go through that. Let me show the Kubernetes one, and we deep dive on this one. Cool. Before we go into the Brian example, let's see another one that I have in the list. See what more I have in the list here. Yeah, it's only that. So Kubernetes has another mixing created. You pass like the manifest and the outputs, and this is basically run kubectl behind the scenes and start. We can take a look in the mixing source code. That's like a Golang. They have a template. We will try to go into this next, but this mixing source code just run kubectl behind the scenes and obeys like the action that you are executing here in the steps. So in this example here, you have like a Kubernetes mixing running the manifest that exists on Nginx. You wait for the output, and the output here is the spec of the cluster IP. That's the resource type service and the Nginx deployment resource name. So that's pretty cool because the output will read the object and parse a JSON path as output in this IP address variable. So as you can see here, that's an example of how to read this output. So you can access bundle output's IP address, and you just need to define that the output exists, and then things will get bundled somehow. Let's get Porter, install this guy. Okay, that's another thing that we didn't saw before. I have a kind cluster running. Can delete this cluster. That's a local cluster. I have an example here to start. No, that's ChatLoopBackOff. I have another example here to start the kind locally. Not working. Not working. Not working. No, that's. We'll figure out. We'll figure out. Okay, that's an indentation. Indentation. Okay, so this will bring a kind. For those who don't know kind, basically this tool will run Docker locally, Kubernetes locally on top of Docker. So you have like your Kubernetes cluster accessible, right? So you have this running locally without running on kind. So you have like Docker PS, like this running locally. The change that I have in that script is only to allow the external access from the port. So you can access the API service on 6443 in an address that I have on my interface. So you can we can expose this local on this machine. No, it's not a good idea to expose that, but we are just testing. So you have like the API server. This is being used by our credentials here. Some other thing I want to show very quickly is Porter credentials. So when you do like Porter credentials and list the credentials, we have like, we need to save the credentials locally. So we have like this context of credentials, right? So we can edit the credential here and you say, okay, you have a kubeconfig credential on a file system, on your file system on the kubeconfig. That's the kind credential that you just created. So we can call the installation of this Kubernetes here, of this Kubernetes example, the bundle, passing this kubeconfig as credentials. So the kubeconfig credential will be read and installed all together with this example of the bundle. So if we go in the pods that are running, you can see we have like a new pod starting up in the cluster, in the Kubernetes cluster that was created with the Nginx. The deployment was created. So kubectl was applied. This manifest and just created the pod. This gives the internal IP of the cluster IP. So it doesn't really matter. It's only an example, like for access this example. Cool. All right. So that's Porter. That's what we have. So before jumping on, we gonna deep dive in Brian's example of Nginx. This Porter bundle. Okay. I'm not sure if I need kind running or this will run kind automatically for me, but we will discover. So you install Porter, allow Docker host access. You reference something that's inside his repository, his Google GCR, and we call it Porter Nginx unit demo. So I'm trusting you, Brian, and run this on my machine. Let's take a look here in the config. This will download these things for us. So I will try to find the Porter YAML here to see what's going on. So we have the schema. You need to update the schema here. We are on 101. You have your registry set, Docker file template, and Brian's using 3 mixins here, right? So there is a client. The cool part of the mixin, you can pass parameters to the mixin binary. So he's setting hard coding these values here. Oh my god. Required Docker. I'm not sure if required is related to the mixin or the binary that exists in the system. I didn't get that. It's probably in the documentation manifest. We have the state. Oh, that's cool. So state's not used only for Terraform. You have like the name, and you can have paths for this state probably to be used later on the code. You have outputs, so you save the output of the installation, the bundle. Cool. So we define some images here with some documentation of the image, description, the tag, and the installation. That's what matters for us, right? So before we go in the output here, let's go in the helper and see in the helper what's going on. There is a lot of things going on. So you create the kind cluster. Cool. The kind cluster is being created for us with this Nginx unit KS in. So we do get cluster. You can see I have 2 clusters here. One created automatically for us. That's pretty cool. This is so okay, that's clever. So basically you are running this inside the container. So this non-root is a user that's created in the bundle, the Synapse container. This is passing as a kubectl to the kind, and then you are getting this as an output to be able to access this from external, right? And then we have like Docker network connect kind, passing the host name. We have the kind IP. Okay, and then we create some namespaces in the. Let's take a look in the what's going on here. So we have like curl get namespace. So we have like that's because I need to access the new created. I know you have a command to do that, but let me Let me test that out. Config. And then you have namespace, and now you are in the context of this kind was created. I think there is an output later command that will give us this information. But right now you have like we can list the pods in those namespace, right? So you have Nginx here that is not running, and you have Nginx unit. So I have like 3 pods here. We have admissions controllers, admissions webhooks, create and patch. It's not admission webhooks, probably some job that was completed. And you have the controllers, and there is a demo. Let's take a look in the demo. Okay, browse to see your local deployment. Let's see if this works. Okay, so local test is probably some hard-coded DNS. If you want to explain here what's local test, but that's interesting because you can have like the DNS for free. Probably this IP is hard-coded somehow. So basically, you have an agent, you have a body, and this proves that the header is passing through the Nginx through this application. That's pretty cool, Brian. I love it. Very nice, very nice. So we can, there are another way to extract that. Basically what we do is to output some of the variables. So if you come back in the porter, installer porter YAML, we can see like the output was chained out. So in the installation we have, what is output? Output. So we have a file here that only applies to install. And this file that's from inside the container to your machine, we can access this file, and that's how you can copy and share data between these both container and local host, right? If you go and do this kubeconfig, if you do porter installation output show -i porter Nginx unit demo, that's probably the name of the installation. Let's see if I can list these things here. I can access this output, but let's see if this gives me a list of the installations of the outputs that I have available. Show. Okay. Bundle stats. I think it's explain. Come on. No, that's the other example. Anyway, so now I can access this kind from the kube config. We can pass this to the output config. And then we can use this again to get the pods and access the cluster. Pretty cool. Yeah. Okay. K9S, that's another CLI. The K9S is pretty cool. So who doesn't know that that's a way to manage your Kubernetes in a pretty easy way. So you have like a CLI. I don't have this installed on this machine, but you have a CLI where you can parse things and have a way to execute things. And then in the end, you can uninstall this bundle, right? So this kube pods doesn't exist anymore. Your kind cluster is okay. So Brian's saying that local test me always return for local test. Cool. That makes a lot of sense. All right. Okay. Thanks. That's cool. Yeah. So with this, we close out 1 hour. I have more things here in the list, but I think we can leave for the next episode and maybe deep diving, like building, mixing, or more complex source code examples in the Porter environment.
All right, that's it. Thanks, everyone. Any last questions in chat? Give someone a few seconds there. I think next week is going to be pretty dope. We're going to be looking at Headlamp. It's a really cool project as well. That was awesome. I want to steal your ZSH config, my man. All right. Thanks for checking out Porter. Hopefully you'll come over to Salt Lake City KubeCon, stop by, see me and Sarah, say hello, do that kind of things. All right, Amim, thank you very much, and we'll see everyone next week. Thank you. I'll leave the last word to you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for attending this presentation. I think that's a pretty good initiative from CNCF. Everyone learns a lot, and it's very fun, like to build this kind of exploration scenarios. I love this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I could sit here and watch people learn all day, because you learn how to learn, not just a presentation. Like, I was watching how you auto-corrected yourself, like when you're doing your completions and stuff like that, because that's how I like to figure out how people are doing and digging through the files. So thanks for that. And with that, we'll see everyone next week, same time. Cheers, y'all.
All right.